morning, everyone. Welcome to American Scousers Morning Coffee or Tea with American Scouser on a Wednesday morning. That's right. Back to being the number one greatest dad. Number two is somewhere in Texas working, so he's not joining us this morning. He said when he travels, though, he can hop back on Wednesdays. But we got John in the house as always. Wednesday crew is diminishing slowly. What's
Yeah,
happening?
2/3. We'll take it at this point, right? Like we get it. Like it's the job for Gordo. It's just like
Hey, 2 out of 3 points. I'll take it any day.
right, 2 out of 3 points. Yeah. How are we feeling, everyone, in terms of like the past performances and everything? Fulham game was a listen. I was clipping the Monday show the other day, and you made a really good point, Tim, about how like the Everton
That's the
Arsenal.
whole show. Like whenever I talk.
Okay. Let's not listen. Without Gordo here to keep you in check, buddy, you're just gonna keep going on and on and on and on. So this is why we need to be this is why we need to be 3/3 complete. Like what I was saying was the Fulham game, kind of like the Arsenal and Everton game, where that drew, everyone was like, and it ended up being more than an and
Yeah.
now I'm feeling in terms of how everything is ending towards this year. I just don't know what to feel now. To answer your question,
I mean,
It-
that's the.
yeah,
I kept saying that when Saturday went like that, I thought Sunday was like, oh, whatever happens, happen. I get the same feeling this weekend because now Arsenal, after that result yesterday, they're going to say, hey, they're going to roll the dice, I would think, this weekend. You're not going to push Saka off there again and stuff like that. You want to keep these guys for
where they
future
face.
rounds in the Champions League and not risk things. So I can see him rotating more this weekend and perhaps losing points on Saturday because they play Brentford at home. That can be dangerous
Can
because
be.
they're a good side, especially on the counter and stuff like that, and they can score goals. So I can see them losing points again, which kind of worries me about the West Ham game. What do you think? What do you expect out of the West Ham game? Is it like a rebound or is it struggles all the way until the end of the season?
Oh boy, like see, I thought the Everton game was a turning point, right? Because obviously PSG. Granted, PSG we played well, right? It was just the coin flip of
Yeah.
a penalty shootout. Newcastle was inexcusable. I felt like Everton was kind of like the okay, like we're back in, everything is restored, order is restored. Then the Fulham game comes, and you're like, wait a minute, like it
Yeah.
just throws a wrench into the spanner. So I can say I don't even know how they're gonna. I mean,
Yeah, but
in
the Everton game, is it the
it,
result that made you say, or is it the
it's
performance?
it's definitely the result, and I feel
Okay.
like it's with those games like the Everton Liverpool derby, like at the end of the day, it's probably the result that matters more
Yeah,
than the
true,
actual performance
true.
because they're like 90% of the game is just what it's just whatever. So and like winning a derby, of course, gives at any team like that morale boost. So which makes the Fulham result all the more surprising. And again, with Gordo here, I have to toot Tamuchin's horn so many times without anyone keeping him in check. That you'd think our vets, Virgil, Robertson, the guys who made the mistakes, they're the ones who keep the guys in line, yet they're the ones who cost
Yeah.
us 3 goals. So it's really up in the air at this point. Like I'm more of a glass half full kind of guy, right? So I go with them responding well, but you'll never know. You'll never know.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the good news is,
Yeah,
out of a week like that, we actually lowered the total, and by
yeah,
with them losing points, and then
yeah.
they only got caught up by 1 point. But yeah, like why make it risky? I do think the West Ham and Leicester City games should be at like 6 points. That should be your guaranteed
Non-negotiable. Yeah,
6 points, especially the Leicester game. But even West Ham at home, you got to get those 3 points, and yeah, not to make it. I think the optics that everybody's trying to put on this is, we're winning because everybody else is sucking, which is partially true. You want to make sure that at the end your point total kind of debunks that theory.
yeah.
And if you're kind of like stumbling along, losing, drawing, and stuff like that, and look, if you're still in the Champions League and stuff, I can kind of excuse that and say, hey, you put this one in the bag, so your focus kind of slightly shifted. This is all you got right now. So
Mm.
you're playing once a week. This is the game you're playing. So I do expect. I'm hoping maybe it's more like a hopeful expectation than anything else that this week will be like more of like a rebound game from Fulham. That second half alone, I think kind of showed that they gotta they knew it's not what was like needed or expected that they had to go into a second gear.
Yeah. Second half was much better, and I don't think it's coincidence we had put an actual fullback on the pitch to
Yeah.
kind of and again, great point on Bradley. Like, come on, like this is becoming like if Gordo was here, he would just stop me right now.
You were saying,
that message that you have on the Discord about, well, start traveling. I feel like you're just gonna take that down right now, right? And just say, Gordo, forget I said anything. I didn't say anything yesterday, but yeah. To your point about the second half, yeah, it's a much better performance. Like Fulham barely got a touch of the ball. Kind of reminds me of PSG away. It just didn't come. PSG at home, rather. It just didn't
yeah,
come through. Unfortunately, we shot ourselves on the foot too much, right? But like what you said, it gives a bit of optimism going forward, and it just goes to show, like, I guess, where are you on the Salah thing, Tim? Like, I'm still on the belief that why he struggled so much is that there's no one else that defenders can just focus on his flank. Because listen, if you got another pair of eyes, if you got another player who you could get the defenders to look at other
yeah.
than Mo, that helps him massively, but then at the same time, like, he's such a great player where even with defenders coming in, you'd expect to at least make things happen, have him make things happen, right? Like, Fulham game practically anonymous bar his missed chance. So where are you with that? I'm just curious to see.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, Sergi said second half was better because of the changes. That's see, I'm not buying that. I think it was more of an attitude change than anything. Solo, what's happening, man? But no, I think the first half with Mo, right? Like when you just look at that game, and I guess you could kind of say, hey, it's been kind of diminished over the last, I don't know, like 3, 4 performances or whatever.
Right.
But the first half, especially, I know you go back and look at the game, you'll see. I was like, man, Curtis is literally on his lap because, and
Yeah.
that's not Curtis's fault by any means. He's playing out of position. If anything, you should teach people after one performance, they already made Curtis transfer placement and
Yeah.
stuff like that. It's like, calm the hell down, because it's just a matter of like not knowing where to go and make the run. There were so many times where somebody would have the ball on the right side of midfield, or like Kanate pushing up or something like that, and then Jones and Mo would be like right next to each other, and Mo is probably like, dude, get away, like you just like
Yeah,
over
you're
here
taking
my
up
space.
space. Yeah.
Like make a cut to the middle, and you saw that change once Bradley comes in,
Mm.
and then he's making sometimes those runs inside of the box because Mo can stretch it out a little bit, opens up that spot in the middle. I think it's a more of a familiarity in terms of what you need to do. But one point that Bickler made on Monday that I give partial credit to, and I think he's partially right, that Mo, in times like this, in games like that, where we're clearly struggling, you do expect Mo to, instead of like going to the wing and waiting, to kind of like try to come back and get the ball a bit more, almost like get himself into the game, as opposed to waiting for others to get him into the game or like do what they have to do. That's like, I would like to see him take a bit more of that responsibility and say, hey, you know what, things are not happening, my time, and then like drop back a little bit, maybe come back to midfield a little bit, and if nothing else, shift people around, like make somebody run behind you and stuff like that, clear some space. So I do give credit there, but regardless of the situation and tactics, you have to admit that almost every season, the last 2, 3 months is never the Mo before. I mean, we said Ramadan, and we put that out there as like the excuse for that, literally an entire month there, obviously, right? Basically, the entire month of March. Well, Ramadan is over. He's eating and drinking all he can.
Yeah.
So there should be, and I don't want to say like there should be no excuse in sense like he's not playing that bad or something like that. You just want, well, I'll ask you though, is it fair for, we're like, come on, man, do something. He's like, I've been doing it for freaking 4 months over here. I've been carrying the load for 4 months. Somebody else should be doing it instead of us constantly saying, well, Mo, let's do it.
Yeah, I think it's fair to an extent because he's such a great player where he has to meet a certain standard, right? Like if he's like if he's been creating chances and we're just not burying them, that's fine. But then he wasn't involved at all in the first half. Barely got a touch. So he's not even treading water. He is underneath. He's under, like considerably under. Like he's sleeping with the fishes, like the mafia would say. So I feel like there is some warranted criticism, but then at the same time, and this extends to Van Dijk as well, who's had like two, like obviously got away with one in the Everton game, not so much against Fulham, right? So, but these guys, like it's fine to criticize them, but then at the same time, they have enough credit in the bank to be like, yeah, they'll probably bounce back next game. Like I wouldn't be surprised if Verge drops a 10 out of 10 next game and Salah scores a hat trick or whatever, because these guys are just that good. But at the same time, like the Salah thing about the Salah drop off, I feel like a lot of that is the fact that we barely, like we don't not use him. Like he's always available. So when he's always available, whatever happens, he's always out there. So that plays a part in terms of like, I know he's like the kind of player who just want to play every single game, and we give him that. But then at the same time, like obviously, the Liverpool front office is a very data-driven front office. You can't look at the data over the last 2 seasons and say like, okay, and not come up with the conclusion that this guy is just struggling as the season goes on. So you gotta convince the coach or whatever, like give him less minutes. If he's upset, he's upset, right? Like Slot or Edwards can just show him like the data and go like, Mo, I know you want to play, but look at the last 2 seasons.
Sucking in April.
Yeah, like it's nothing personal, man. It's just that everything that you did good to start the season, we kind of want to stagger that more throughout. Like instead of like putting it all like at the start and midway, like we kind of want to get some of that production as well towards the end. And again, this comes into the whole rotational situation about maybe he could have used Case on the right wing, maybe Harvey Elliott a bit more, but that's another can of worms. And like to sort of close out what I'm trying to say, I feel like that conversation can be had with Virgil as well next season if he's still in the team. Where if we get a center half that can play at the left side, maybe don't let the big guy play as much games. Like I know it's like a thing from the Klopp era where he plays like 95% as long as he's available. But he's 34. He's gonna be 35 next year.
Verge, I can see Verge, like when they sit down and talk, I can see Verge saying, and man, you guys got to find somebody else on the left-hand side so that I can take a League Cup game off and stuff like that. I don't hear that conversation happening if you're a fly in the wall. I don't hear that conversation happening with them. Mo is not saying, you guys should probably get another right winger so I can get some rest and extend my career. I don't think he's that kind of guy. This year, I mean, I read people like, Chiesa should start on the right-hand side, give Mo some rest. This is not the time to piss off Mo. But that should be something that you talk about maybe in the off season, going into next season, and say, hey, once he signs the contract, by the way, like that's something to be talked about to extend his career. Because I'll tell you what, like, I can only imagine right now, because of the early part of the season, right, and where we're at and what he has done to get us there, a lot of people are going to look past this. I would be very afraid if once he signs the contract, if he had already signed the contract, people would be like, oh, he's got his money, that's why he's not playing and stuff. You know how fans are. So I think that will be a conversation to be had in the off season once he signs, where they say, hey man, we're going to have to manage your minutes better this year so that, you're there at the end of the year, because we're going for like the quad this year or whatever, like whatever, however you want to sell it to him. You got to kind of like sell it to him and kind of have him buy into it, because that is probably a part of it. Serzi says Salah isn't getting the service. He also looks like he's mentally tired. I'll tell you who needed Diaz's energy was Gakpo, but that's a whole different story. I think he is getting the service. Well, I think Bickler's point was sometimes he has to come and get the service, like not expected to be spoon-fed to him. But I think we're going back to what you're saying, that one, we didn't have the right back. And he just didn't have, once Diaz came in and kind of started to threaten a bit on the left-hand side, and obviously with Bradley coming in, it was suddenly a whole different Mo in the second half. And I think that's what you gotta get. You can't just rely on one guy. This isn't like NBA basketball where you can rely on one guy and do like isolation every freaking time,
The
like
thing is,
James
like,
Harden or something.
right. The thing is with like modern NBA as well. Like I just watched the Rockets lock up Steph Curry a few games ago. So you can't even rely on one person because they're overcommitting on a single guy. So that means you need to get another person to kind of get the attention off of it. And I was like, this reminds me of Mo over the last few games where you got the fullback and the center back and maybe even like the attacker tracking back and triple teaming him essentially when he gets the ball because we don't have any fullback threat with Trent and Bradley out. And obviously, like no matter how good you are, you're gonna struggle. But then obviously, like what to Bickler's point, what you were saying, he's also got to be more proactive as well. Like, okay, these guys are gonna triple team. What else are you gonna do? Like, you can't just stay there and wait for the ball. Like, you got to do something different.
But isn't that at that time?
Yeah.
I know what you're saying, and I
Yeah.
kind of understand that. And I know when like Bickler was saying it, I was like, yeah, but I was like half because at the same time, dude, they're tripling me. You know what that means?
Yeah.
Somebody's open.
Yeah.
So like, why doesn't the open guy do something, and I still have to do something?
Exactly. Yeah.
When I'm being covered.
You can't be. I feel like both points are right to an extent, and like Sergi's point here, like Gakpo and Jota had a massive chance to make it 3-2.
Yeah,
like he had that chance to make it 3-2, and then Gakpo still doesn't look 100% fit for some reason. So I don't get this.
That's the
like
thing with Gakpo, man. I keep saying it. Like you either have the good Gakpo or it's like a horrific Gakpo. Whereas, because you don't have that energy and the work rate you get with Diaz, even if he's on a good day. You just don't get that. So he can't make something out of nothing. Like he can't like get you the little brownie points because he won that ball and he tracked back and stuff like that. So if Gakpo is not there, he's invisible. He's 3 out of 10, and he's like a detriment more than anything else. When he's there and effective, he's getting the goals and assists or whatever. Then yeah, he's like 8, 9. You're like, oh, he's a better left wing than Diaz, which is kind of like a. I mean, I guess it's a good luxury to have both guys there, but I feel like right now I still would put probably Diaz there.
Yeah, on current form, no question. Like in terms of like, obviously, I haven't been the kindest to Diaz over the last few months, but then he has been scoring lately, and he has been putting the work in. So like in terms of who we have on that left wing, it's no question who we should have, right?
Yeah.
And the Fulham game, I'm just surprised that Slot took that long to make the Diaz change, because what we needed after that first half was energy, intent. And that's all Luis Diaz, when he came in, he started taking people on one-on-one, and then like you saw him actually tracking back, helping out Robertson in the end at the back line, who was really struggling. So yeah, I feel like the lineup against West Ham sort of picks itself to start. The problem is our 9, I guess. I thought Jota turned a corner after the Everton game. He finally scored, break that drought. Now it's going to start flowing, but he looked more like the.
And I know it's by design, but sometimes the fact that our guy in the middle is always leaning more towards left. I mean, I know partially it's by design to give more space and stuff like that, but I think that's when it's kind of hurts Mo, because you can't park those guys on Mo and not worry about as much with the overlap. But that's when guys like Szoboszlai should come into play. That's when your right back should come into play. And you kind of saw, like I say, I don't want to rip on Jones, because he's playing out of position, and he's the only one who didn't screw up defensively in the Fulham game, so you got to give him credit for that. He's probably like, hey, this is my main responsibility. I don't want to get. It's almost like a reverse Trent, more worried about defending than going forward, kind of a thing when you put him there. I think starting this week, I would expect Bradley to start, so that will kind of change. Szoboszlai is missing. Sergi is right. Solo says, I still don't get some people. Yes, I know who they are. I know who he's talking about, but because we're in a couple of we were Solo no longer, but in a couple of WhatsApp chats with some creators, and there's some guys out there, and it's not just the creators, but there are some guys out there that I've gotten into with this dude who always comes out whenever there's a draw. He's pulls out all the agendas and stuff. There's a lot of people who are who are just so happy, and they're like, I'm not happy. Shut up, dude. You can't hide it. Your face says it. You are happy that you can come out and say I told you so, because the result didn't pan out and stuff. If anything, we thought early in the season, and I was talking about this on Monday night because we were talking about it back in, I don't know, like November, December and stuff, that, Slot is doing the substitutions a lot early. So, and what we were saying at the time, then we're like, finally, because Klopp wouldn't change anybody till it was like 82, right? Like people make it look like Klopp's rotated so much or something. The only reason it looked like Klopp rotated so much is Klopp would get people injured with that old mechanism. We had to get people injured, so somebody else would have to come in. It wasn't by like rotation; it was by needs because other people were injured from like muscle injuries and stuff. But we thought Slot's early substitutions, people coming in at 60 and stuff like that, we're like, oh, this is going to pay off in March and April. We're not going to have the drop off we had last season. Now we're finding out, I guess, 5 minutes, 10 minutes over there, it doesn't really add up. That math doesn't work like that. We need guys that we can trust starting, not just coming in for like 20 minutes to finish off a game.
Yeah, so I guess that also answers your old question to me, like in terms of what Slot would want in terms of a backup, someone who could do plan A well or give something different as a plan B. So he definitely gets someone as a plan A,
Yeah.
right? So I guess it's going to be an interesting summer. I know we don't like transfer talk. Like for the longest I've been in this channel, I know like we dread the summer shows, but I'm actually, you still do? Like I'm very interested to see what we're going to do because again, like, and you made this point on the Monday night show, we don't even know the profile of the 9 that he wants.
Yeah.
So it would be interesting that we to find out what that is in terms of who we're going to sign there, because obviously Darwin is leaving. So.
You said transfer. Saidu is in the house. See, Saidu, like if it was up to you, man, we would have bought all these guys I see around the league now who can't even start for their own teams, and like those were the rumors. I think the problem. This is what I hate about the transfer season is, and unfortunately, we're gonna have a very busy one. So this might be semi-fun, interesting, and we're gonna do more like regular Premier League channel content too. So it was kind of like will help with that, I think. But the thing I hate is people get paid to just come up with shit, like literally in their bed making up news, no links, nothing, and say, oh, like Liverpool is interested in insert name here. So then people, no offense, Saidu, but people like Saidu, like see that, right? They're like, we're interested in him. And then but there's like 80 guys like this that we're interested in following, tracking, monitoring, whatever. And then we don't sign these guys because we were never interested in monitoring like any of those things. And then people always like blame like, oh, FSG are not spending the money. We never wanted the guy. Like that was just a rumor that you made yourself believe. And then there's 80 guys out there like that, and people want to sign all 80 of them, which is not going to happen. And when we do not sign them, it's seen as, oh, we couldn't sign them, or we didn't want to spend the money and stuff like that. Or it's very likely that we were not interested in 80 people. I mean, I think you look at the track record. People talk shit about FSG all the time. And they have taken some missteps in the past that they've come back from. But my thing is, who, like Saidu can tell me, which ownership, like, do you look in the Premier League and say, I wish we had those guys?
Yeah, you can't say the Arsenal ownership because they literally didn't buy a striker and that cost them their season. And we can't have the Man City ownership because those guys are suspected of cheating. So
yeah, I mean, if you want oil money, then that's like totally different scenario, and I don't think you understand Liverpool in the first place.
Yeah, you can't have the
dilemma that I get.
Right, you can't have the Glazers as well.
I mean, do you want Chelsea's ownership that looks like freaking, like a comedy show at all times where they're just signing anybody and everybody? I mean, that's the thing. That's oil money. That Pep kept winning because they were cheating the system. That's why they have all those charges. And 2, I mean, it was like oil money. Do you really want that in the club? Because that's not what this club is all about. So I don't see another ownership that's successful yet well managed and stuff.
There isn't any cheating. Why are there allegations?
So, why are they in court then, Saidu? Are they just there for on the wooden chair?
Like, listen, there's a high chance that they probably won't be convicted. But listen, if you're making your own companies to come out as sponsors for your club, right? Like, listen, I don't know, man. Like, I feel like we have to take what City's doing as the exception rather than the rule. I feel like any football fan would just go like, yeah, this isn't,
And
like,
I think you know what both team has that. And honestly, like this year, I think the difference is I think Liverpool would be better and would get more points and stuff if um you know there was somebody pushing the team. Because I think
yeah,
in the past we've had City do what they have done because we were there. And they made us do what you know what I mean? Like you need
yeah,
somebody to
yeah,
push you sometimes to, I mean, that was like a ridiculous season. Like they were constantly both of them winning and stuff like that. So I think that's the thing. Like people, we've talked about this. I know like Kazi says this all the time too, that people take that as the norm, and that is not the norm. I mean, we come to a point where we watch games and we're like, if it's not 3 points, it's the end of the world. Because that's how it ended up being. You had to have 90 points, 100 points to freaking like win the league. So every game had to be 3 points. It did not. I mean, I remember, you don't remember this because you're too young, but there were days where you were like, an
oh,
away
hey, hey, hey,
draw is a good
I'm not
result.
that young. I'm not that young. I still grew up with the United seasons where they were like low 80s and they still won the league. Right, so
Yeah.
like, they won the league with 86, 84 points. Like that was within the realm of discussion back then. And I believe I sent something on the Discord where City, I think, have never won the Premier League in a season where they had less than 5 losses.
Yeah.
Right, like, yeah, so you can lose. Right, you can
Yeah.
lose back then. Chelsea won in 2010 with 6 losses. United won the title in 1999 with 79 points. Right, hell, the Invincibles had 13 draws, for fuck's sake.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
listen, you can't have 13 draws in the Pep Klopp era and expect to win the Premier League. So yeah, it's ridiculous. Like,
I think that's the thing. It's been set up. Solo says it's funny as soon as I distance myself, my channel has grown. Yeah, I mean
listen,
that's the thing.
yeah.
There's a lot of people, and I hate to say it's like the negativity. And
I,
I'm
I
so
am not
emotional.
on social media at all. Even our Discord after a loss or a draw, because some of the shit that comes out of people's mouths are insane. like, you're not exaggerating, Tim, when you say, like, I know, like, we had this discussion about Diaz, but then again, I'd like to believe I didn't want to sell half the team right after we lose or we draw. Like, listen, like, it's ridiculous. Like, some of the
There's a
shit that,
reason why fans don't
yeah,
own clubs because it's just like a very reactionary. And I can
I
understand. I don't mind the conversations that happen during the game as much, right? There's
right,
like the
yeah.
heat of the moments kind of things where like you get mad at a player or I don't know, something happens. I mean, this happens to me. We were talking about this with my brother actually the other day when I was like Fenerbahce thing that, sometimes you watch something like live, right? You're like, how is that? Are you freaking serious? How is that not a foul and stuff like that? And then they show slow motion, like, oh, okay, yeah, it was not even
Right.
close. Or you watch it at night, you were like, yeah, that wasn't even close. I don't know what I was thinking and stuff. So I think you watch with a different emotion live, but people wants the game. The thing I hate, and those are the people like Solo is referring to, are people who have an agenda to
Mhm.
push. So it's not based on what they're seeing and stuff like that. They're just waiting for, they have the agenda ready. So they're sitting over here. So you're just looking for something so you can like release the hounds and then you
Right.
can just like push that out. But the thing that really pisses me off is these people are secretly happy that this happens. Because one, they can push their agenda. And two, any creator, any site that does what we do, like any fan channel knows that
Right.
when things are worse, there are more views because that's
Mhm.
when all the couch managers come out, all the football manager people come
That,
out
that
and
that
like
was
have problem.
essentially that was essentially like the football fan channel in a nutshell, AFTV. Like,
Yes,
that spurred like a revolution when Arsenal were doing well, and now every freaking fan has a fan channel now, including ours, right?
yeah,
Including ours, mind you. But then listen, like, how did AFTV rise to stardom when Arsenal weren't doing well, seeing the
yeah.
meltdowns and everything? So, like,
Because
you have to think,
honestly, that's because like we watch that, right? Like you and I watch that. So like
yeah,
if they're winning, the only people who are gonna watch that are Arsenal fans for
yeah,
one.
yeah,
So you're totally diminishing your like
yeah,
like
your
your
fan base, yeah.
viewership, and then on top of that, people can only gloat so much. They get bored out of gloating because people by nature, or they use sports for bitching and moaning, so that's taken away now, so there's nothing to complain about, kind of a deal. So it diminishes, whereas when things go bad, you and I tune into it, we laugh at it. So I
Yeah, we left.
guarantee you a lot of these channels would rather have stuff go wrong for financial reasons. And it's what pisses me off is like a win-win for these guys, and that's what gets to me the most. So when we do well, these are the same guys that will celebrate. I mean, Solo knows these guys because they are like, they're out there. So they will celebrate, and then they will go around like posting things about people who bitch about FSG over here. They
Yeah,
will post all these things about how we spent much less and we're still winning, and we did this. We have so many people from our youth team in the starting 11, blah, 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 when things are going well. So they actually are louder than you and me in terms of bragging and the banter and stuff like that. But
yeah,
the moment something doesn't go right, they come back out again, they win again, because then they're like, see, I told you guys, and stuff like that. Dude, what happened to all that shit you were sharing last week?
yeah.
It's just not.
It's yeah, it's not even a two-sided coin. It's like you're claiming both sides of the coin, so
Yeah.
you always win. Like, listen, hey man, I'm a big Batman guy. Like, at least Two-Face, he had a chance of things not going his way. It's 50-50. Like, you guys claim both sides of the coin. That's not right. That's not right. I'm telling you. Like, you gotta be fair. Come on. You gotta be fair.
Yeah, I think that part just gets to me. Like, I'm talking to the studios, like, I've been saying this all along. I'm like, really? Because I'm like, I just scrolled up and I don't see anything from you
Heads or heads.
that, yeah, heads or heads. I mean, that's the thing. Like, he doesn't post anything. I'm like, how come you didn't post after we beat Everton and say we
Right.
still need depth or whatever? If that was your issue, no.
Hey,
Like, you
yeah,
only come out and say
yeah,
this whenever something doesn't go right. I mean, do we
yeah,
need more depth? And I'm not disputing some of the points being made.
yeah,
It just pisses me off that you bring up that point. You don't bring it up at all. You kind of like brag about what we're doing, and then you
yeah.
come up. Same thing with Slot. A lot of people early in the season who said, who bitched and moaned about Slots, and I don't know, like, I mean, we didn't know him, like, we just basically, I actually stopped researching managers until somebody freaking signed, because I watched too much of freaking Emery footage and it went down to waste.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
I stopped until they signed
yeah,
somebody, but
right.
like, we didn't know any of these guys. And again, with managers, man, there is so much more than to like that a club should look at, and looks like they've got the right guy.
Mm. Yeah, I mean, thankfully with us, it's only been a few managers, right? Like that we've had to kind of like in terms of like a situation where we had to research managers thoroughly. Like this is the
Yeah,
first one that we've had to do so for the longest time. So long may it continue, right?
yes.
Yeah,
I mean, and I think, you have your guy right now.
yeah,
And I mean, the biggest complaints I mean, we're talking about this on Monday night. Everybody talks about rotation and stuff like that.
yeah,
And I mean, honestly, whatever rotation you did, nobody was starting a different back four.
yeah,
Like, you weren't saying like, see, if Costas played, I would have started Costas.
yeah,
Nobody wants
exactly.
Costas.
Yeah,
Nobody was gonna bench Van Dyke. So the guys who made mistakes are gonna be, you're gonna pencil in anyway, even if you did rotation. So
what what was the area though in this let's say best 11 right now? What do you think is the most acceptable position where the rotation talks could have been entertained throughout the season? Like
throughout
obviously,
the season,
yeah, like maybe a midfielder, maybe because right now I'm thinking like, yeah, it would have been nice if we rotated, but then at the same time, like this 11 was basically got us to the point that we are at now. So if it, in terms of a common sense kind of deal, you're just like, why break something that's not why fix something that's not broken rather? Like you
yeah.
know what I mean? Like Gravenbrook and McAllister were working so well. You had no reason to put Endo in at any point except to close out a game.
I
Like
think that was the thing,
yeah,
right? Like, during the club era, people make it sound like Klopp rotated so much. During the Klopp era, we never had starting 11 discussions. Like, we never sat down and
right.
said who's gonna start there and stuff like that. It was all like that. Midfield was penciled in. That's the center backs were. If Matip was healthy, he was starting. It was like Matip
Yes.
or Gomez, whoever is healthy. You put that
Mhm.
in there on the right hand side. So Trent, Robertson, Van Dyke. The front three was spoken for. So we never had starting lineup decisions. So this,
Mhm.
like, delusion that like, oh,
Right.
Klopp rotated so much and Slot doesn't,
Yeah,
is
yeah,
like
yeah.
complete opposite. If anything, the fact that I think we have options, so for all those people bitching about depth, is like you have options now where, I mean, who was Mane's backup? Exactly.
Yeah, right. Like I'm thinking. Wait, I feel like I can come up with it. Origi played the nine. Uh,
Sometimes he would play left.
Shaqiri played the right, and he barely played the right, mind you.
Yeah, he
Uh,
usually like came in as like an attacking midfielder or
yeah.
something like that. Yeah, I
Um,
mean, I'm sure Sergi in the audience knows because he's more money coming up.
18-19 season. Origi played a bit of left wing,
Yeah,
and
he would
and
sometimes
started.
come
Yeah,
for the left and then shift to the middle or something
yeah,
like that. But that's what I'm pointing. Like right now, you have two left wingers, and
yeah.
we're have the discussion about if he starts Gakpo, people can say he should have started Diaz. If Diaz started, people could say, oh, he should have started Gakpo and stuff. Like same thing with midfield, I think, like Elliott and Szoboszlai and stuff like that. We didn't have these discussions before. I think going back to your question, it is probably midfield and the front, right? That you would like more rotation, but it goes back to the,
Yeah.
like people are like, oh, Ando should play more. I agree. Endo probably should have come in more in games, but I don't have a lot of games where I saw the starting lineup and I said, man, Endo should have been there.
And again, like majority, especially in the league, majority of the past games we've won using the same midfield.
Yeah.
So the psychology of that is why change it? Like it's
I think
easy,
because that's what people are saying. Like, you're not winning now because you kept, playing your
right?
best hand
But
over
then
that.
again, the psychology of it, Slot would go with like still, yeah, this is work. He has a bigger sample size of this
Yeah.
of this team working. So right, like it's human nature to stick with something that's worked, like until it becomes like a disaster where we lose like two or four in a row or something. That's when they'll probably do like a massive change or something. But
And it's a
uh,
lot of second guessing. Like, if he
yeah, yeah,
rotated and put Endo in, and we don't get a goal in or something like that, they were like, "Well, why do you rush McAllister or
yeah.
like Gravenberg?"
He's
That's
screwed
what's
either
going to
way.
happen.
Like
I mean, yeah,
he's screwed either. But then what do you think about that whole Elliot thing? Like, I know Sobo's like whole thing where he especially off the ball, but then I think we both can agree to him. Like on the ball this year, there's been a lot. It's a lot to be desired from him. Where especially now lately, where we've been struggling to break down a team. Like, okay, I feel like there could have been an argument that Elliott could have started some or could have had more minutes. Not okay, not necessarily start. Could have had more minutes over the last few games since we lost Trent because we need another creative person there on the pitch to help out Mo. Like no coincidence when he came in Fulham game, things were flowing. He was trying to pick out passes. Like we were actually trying to create something instead of banging our heads against the wall like we did in the first half. I don't know where you stand with that, but I agree to an extent with Saidu here that not necessarily start, but he should be seeing at least, like, given the performances of some of our 10s over the last few games, 40 minutes, 45 minutes even. Because Sobo's had some stinkers lately, let's be real. Like,
see, yeah, that's the problem, though. I mean, can create but keep running like hell. That's the keep running like hell part is
yeah,
what you can't. You're not gonna get
I
out of
guess
Elliot.
I guess you have to pick your poison. Do you think it's
See,
enough?
like a
Yeah,
game like West Ham, where you are home, you're gonna have the ball more, and you're going to attack. I think Elliot is a good option
right, right.
because what I like about Elliot is he's fast with the ball. Not,
Hmm.
I mean, fast speed wise. Like, he moves the ball fast, I should say. Like,
Yeah,
and that's what I like about him. And compared to like Chiesa that everybody complains about, what I like about Elliot, that I've been saying this all week, is Elliot still plays within the system and then takes his chances if he has it. Like, he'll take a shot and stuff like that when it comes by him, and obviously he hit the post and everything. Whereas I feel like Chiesa forces it a lot more. So Elliot is still playing within the system, but he moves the ball fast. It's a bit easier to create, and yes, it's another person, and I think they have a good chemistry with Mo on the right hand side. That kind of helps, but there are some things that Soboslai does that he cannot do. So when you're away, so people like, I understand the Elliott love, but when you're away, for example, and you're going to be chasing the ball against a team who can control the ball well, you don't want Elliott out there because then suddenly he's out of the equation. And like, and everybody is going to be attacking, and then everybody's going to blame the defense. Well, your front four is not defending at all now suddenly, because you kind
No
of lose
press.
that.
Yeah.
Look at the pressuring, and
Yeah.
look at what Szoboszlai does of the running. The pressure is not on us. The pressure is somehow on the fans. I don't think the pressure is on us at all. Like, it's not. This is a team that's winning that everybody is tearing apart. Do I want, like, I really would like Elliott, yes, to come in earlier into games, but you have to sacrifice somebody,
Yeah.
and you can't sacrifice Szoboszlai in a game against maybe Leicester and stuff like that, or a Southampton. You can maybe, that's the argument, I guess, John, is
Yeah.
those games, could he have, sets your boy Gravenberg down, set Szoboszlai down, and maybe put Elliott and Endo out there on those games that you
Mm.
should really win. You're gonna have the ball a lot more and stuff, and rested those guys. I guess that's the only argument that you can do. I
Yeah.
mean, that's half the game, Saidu. You gotta run. You
Mm.
gotta be able to run and press and win the ball. Somebody's gonna run and win the ball.
Mm.
And if Elliott is not gonna do it, Mo is not gonna do it, Gakpo is not gonna do it, who's gonna win the ball? Like, you can't just have. This is what we used to do, right? With the Klopp era. If that midfield, and we saw what happens when that midfield cannot run.
Mm.
Suddenly we did not look so good because we could not, we could not
Yeah.
win the ball. You got to be able to run to win the ball. I love Elliott, but I think he doesn't have the pace, the physicality that Szoboszlai does. Goes back to the plan A, plan B deal.
Yeah. Plan A, plan B. Yeah. It's again, it's what you're willing to give up for something. And again, this is all in hindsight. Hindsight's 2020.
Yeah.
We know what happened. We can say like, oh, I could have done this, could have done that. Like, it's very different in the moment. But you did bring up their West Ham game. Obviously, knowing Slot how he is this year, he'd probably just start the same 11, right?
I
Same
think so. They're
best
going to get
11.
a full week's rest.
Yeah, he gets a full week's rest. I think, like, as much as I want to try and put Elliott there, I feel like you're right to an extent because, well, no, you're not to an extent. I feel like you're right in terms of what he wants from the 10. And a 10 who can run, a 10 who's rested and can run what Szoboszlai does, the way he pressures the ball, it harries the opponent so much. It makes them give up the ball and give us back the ball, and we can have control. And what's Slot's number one thing? It's all control. He wants us to have the ball. He wants us to dictate the flow of possession. So, as much as I would like Elliott to kind of get a look in, it's going to be hard, unfortunately.
Yeah, we're probably going to see. I mean, we were talking about, pretty much the same 11. You're going to have Ali come back in goal, and then you're going to have Bradley come back back, hopefully. And I think that's the only change. You might see Diaz starting and stuff like that, but I think it's going to be that's midfield right there. I think that's. I don't know about Ederson enough, but this team does need, and the team knows, the club knows they needed somebody like that because they went after Zubimendi in the offseason. So they know, but it's not just anybody. And I kind of respect that. I know people get frustrated, but I kind of respect that, where if it's not your guy, don't just get any guy and spend like 20, 30 instead of the 50, 60 you're going to get for your guy. If it's not going to be a perfect fit, I'm okay with just waiting. I know it can get frustrating. I'm sure Arsenal fans don't agree because that's what was sold to Arsenal fans. I think they could have gone and got a striker that's available, for low money, just to have another striker, another body kind of a thing.
Yeah.
But for us, I think you have the guys there. So I think you do. Let's talk about this real quick before we go, though. So this is from Lewis Steele that Mo is going to skip the June international camp to fully focus on wrestling his body after a long and arduous campaign at Liverpool. Is this good news for us? Is that good news for wherever he's going?
Yeah, I'm again glass half full kind of guy. It's good news for us, and hopefully it will still be good news for us, right? Like, hopefully that belief sticks in where it will actually affect us, because if it affects us, it means that he's still there. Which goes back to our conversation where next season, hopefully front office, coaching, whoever, has more conversations with Mo, showing him the data of his fall off as the season goes on. And again, this is a positive step towards that kind of like conservation. like assuming Chiesa doesn't stick around for next year, I feel like, and I think it was Galli was talking about it, an attacker like Anton Semenyo from Bournemouth who
Yeah,
can fill all three positions would be an absolute godsend. Like right now, like
yeah.
obviously, if we keep Diaz, we're stacked at left wing. It's mostly that forward slash right wing position that we kind of need some depth on. If we get Semenyo and maybe that striker we're looking for, I feel like we're set, and
You should
that's going to
just
be
go raid Bournemouth. Make Bournemouth the new Southampton.
right. Like I'm also I don't know what you think about him, Tim. I'm very intrigued about Liam Delap. I like he's big, he's mobile, and he can finish. And obviously with Ipswich going down, there might be a fire sale, this and that. I feel like it can be a good kind of opportunity buy. You know what I mean? Like
I guess it goes back down to
yeah,
price, but more importantly, it goes back down to how you're going to play. I feel like
right.
he could be that guy that
He can hold up the
being an
ball as well.
Ipswich
Yeah.
forward is easier or takes different skill set from being a Liverpool forward.
I understand that, but in terms of like what we're looking like, look at what he's having Jota do now. Like he can drop back. Yeah, okay. I'm not so sure about Delap. So I don't watch Ipswich enough. Like I've seen some highlights and all that. I don't know about his build-up play, but in terms of him holding up the ball against a big defender, like what he's trying to, I know directly from Sir Z, I get it. But like if for the right price, I don't know. I feel like, and he's
What's the
22.
right price? Name
Yeah,
your price, my man.
40.
What?
Yeah, I'd
That's
take
not
it.
a good price.
Huh?
That's not a good price. I thought
He's
you were going to
20.
go
He's
14.
22. He's 22, Tim. The ceiling is, I don't know. I just like, I like the idea of like a
I mean,
proper.
I'll be
Yeah,
honest, I haven't seen enough of him because,
yeah.
like you, I don't tune into Ipswich regularly. I'm like, oh, Ipswich is on, and just
He
like,
has
what?
no attacking options. He has no attacking options that have been effective for Ipswich next to him uh, throughout the entire season, and he still has 12 goals. He can score in a system that doesn't attack as well. Like,
But that's the thing. Like, it's
yeah,
a system where, like, he's not. That's like the biggest danger of getting these guys from smaller teams. No offense to Ipswich, but they're a smaller team. So I mean, it's they don't go against a low block. Like nobody's sitting back against Ipswich, and Ipswich has to break him down or something like that. You know what I mean? He's always on the counter. He always doesn't have anybody. Can we bring in Nunez for John? Um, Yeah, I mean I guess it goes back to what kind of a player we want to, knowing that he values possession. Like we don't know, right? We're talking about this, like right back, left back. We don't know fully what a slot team looks like.
right, yeah,
But if you're valuing possession, you're not constantly sending balls into the box to your big head.
yeah.
You know what I mean? I mean
He's not.
that's my guess.
He's not just a target man though. He's pretty good with the ball at his feet. So I don't know. I just feel like if
Now you're
there's a
gonna make me go watch freaking Ipswich. Damn it.
I don't know. I don't know. I just an idea because, like you mentioned, we don't know the profile of the nine that we like, the nine that Slot wants 100% yet. So just tossing it out there, right? Not necessarily like, oh, okay, this is who I'm 100% going for, right?
Yeah.
Because if it was up to me, I'd get Isak right away. I'm just thinking like alternative, the hipster trajectory, right? Before someone comes in and crucifies me like Sir Z wants to do so already. You know, you know. I do agree. I do agree that he's better suited for Arsenal though, and that we kind of need, because if he is our number 9 signing, just him, that's not acceptable. We need like a marquee kind of dude, I would say, someone who's like on the up. He's
You know
kind of on the
what
up.
I hate? Every
Yeah,
time I watch him, I'm like, man, I wonder if he'll be like an awesome fit as Marmouche. Every time I watch him, and I'm like, man, instead of Jota, if he was up there right now, because he does a lot of those things. I mean, we were talking about it on Monday, and I know there's like a lot of rumors out there, but it could be kind of like go back to is Alvarez.
yeah. I like Alvarez, but then at the same time, I don't know. Can he do the 9 stuff that Slot wants? Because I see Jota struggling there. They're kind of I mean, Jota's like inferior physically, right? And I feel like Alvarez is a smarter player, but I don't know.
I
don't
mean,
know,
he
man.
knows the
Yeah,
Premier League, and he does play a different style. Like he was more like we were talking about this on Monday. He was more like the 1B when he was at City with Holland. So he was playing off of Holland, whereas over there they kind of like play off of him a bit more. He's more like Bobby-ish over there, and he has the pace. He can finish. I was never like, oh, really big on him. I just don't know if I would, if they go and sign him for like, and he is going to be like 80, 90, 100 or something like that. I don't know if
yeah,
that's like, ugh, that's kind of like a risky business. The only part that's not risky is, I mean, he is Premier League proven
yeah,
and he does know the Premier League.
yeah.
So
Sir,
there is that
hold on.
plus.
Let me just address this. Serzi, 40 million is the new 20 million because of tariffs. So, like,
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing that I don't know, like what I don't know what Jota would be worth to somebody, or do you keep Jota as your luxury guy off the bench kind of a thing, and you actually get maybe Jota would not be as injured when you don't rely on him to
I,
start all the time. He
yeah,
just comes
yeah,
off the bench because that's the only knock on Jota, right? Otherwise, he would be a great guy to bring off the bench. I mean,
yeah.
we've always said that
In theory, yes, but then at
if
the
he's
same time,
available.
yeah. But but even in the games that he's been available this year, he hasn't been. I feel like, and again, this could just be me, pissing in the wind. The injuries that he's had over the years has really diminished him physically. He's not this. I hate to say it, but he's not the Jota of last year. Even like he's slower on the ball. Like
But he was fine early in the season. I mean, we started the season with him in
yeah,
the
but
middle,
then
and he was fine until he got hurt.
yeah, he was fine, but then he wasn't like I remember a discussion on the Thursday pod. Like he was fine, but he hasn't necessarily locked down that 9 as well either. You
No.
know what I mean? You know what I mean? Like he's fine because he knows the system well. Like he performs slot system better. But then if we get someone who could if we get someone who could score a bit more and is just as effective at the system, his ass is on the bench right away. You know what I mean? Like
Yes. Yes.
yeah,
If Nunez could,
yeah,
prove his worth, I
hmm
think you would never hear of Jota. And
yeah,
Nunez is available. I mean, health wise, but he just can't do a lot of the things that you want him to do. So
yeah.
yeah, if you had a guy, that's why I'm saying like if you replace, let's say, Nunez with Isak or somebody like
The
that,
pipe dream.
then I think we would be okay with Jota. Because here's the thing: like everybody is selling everybody. You can't, and that's why I think it's important to keep Van Dijk and Mo, because at least it secures you in those positions, and you can go shopping for some of the other ones. Because
Mhm.
now you don't want to lose those guys, and now you need the right winger. Now you need another center back and stuff. At least it buys you a couple of summers to address their replacements and get those guys in afterwards, because those guys are pretty much penciled in for the start. I mean, the whole Ornstein thing about if or when, not if, not if, when, but like when, not if, them signing, I think is like a good ordeal by itself, because that's a reliable source saying
Yeah,
that. And
yeah,
not to mention, I'm going to be like those toxic channels and I can say, I told you guys so,
yeah.
when the stuff happens. But I do think, let's hope so. So, okay, let me ask you that. I mean, would you want that announced now? If that is the case, if they can kind of seal the deal to give this team like a finish boost, or is it worse? Like I was telling you earlier, if Mo signed, everybody would be like, "Oh, you got the money, he's not scoring."
The thing is, I feel like whatever you do, it's damned if you do, damned if you don't. You know what I mean? Like, uh, like they're not playing well this year. They're not playing well right now, Mo and Virgil. So people are there. There is going to be a certain sect of the fan base that's going to go, "Why'd we sign these guys? They've been looking washed over the last few games." You know what I mean? And then obviously there's going to be the more level-headed ones, which is like us, which is like, okay, this is going to be massive for next year in terms of like there's
Yeah.
going to be a massive overhaul, obviously, and then we have these players who can help us. Jonathan David for John's the lap price. I told you, Trevor, it's 20 million because 40 million is 20 million because of tariffs. Goddamn. Like,
How about Jonathan David? Are you buying Jonathan David for that price?
yes. because of tariffs.
Just because I think the only thing I worry about, the only thing
Yeah.
that I would think I like Delap over David is the fact that he knows the Premier League and he's Premier League proven. Well, I don't know about proven, but he's a Premier League. He knows the Premier League. He knows what to
Delap,
expect. He's not going to have an
oh,
adjustment. Yes.
Delap, you mean?
Yeah. Delap.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and scored 12 goals for a side that barely attacks. That's my only thing. Like, obviously, yeah, I just threw him out there, and like Cersei said, they tossed him back at me. But I would actually be happy if we. I love a good project signing. It's why I love Gravenberg. I love a good project signing, right? Like, in terms of who he is right now.
Is not a project. I know what you're saying, and
Yeah.
I know the good project. A project signing to me is 10 to 20 at most.
That not in today's market. Not in today's tariff market, Tim. Come on.
I mean, if you're 40, I expect you to be a contributor. That price tag.
Yeah, he'll probably contribute. Yeah,
but not probably. You just said he's a project, which means
Gravenberg was a project.
Immediate impact. You're like down the road. This is going to be a really good move. Not necessarily, maybe not now. That's what I define.
Okay, so maybe project might have been the wrong term for Delap, because I feel like he can contribute already, but then at the same time, why I said project is how he is now isn't necessarily the player that he's going to be, because he's still 22. He's still so
young. You're saying project because of his age?
Yes, because of his age.
Like, Trevor is right. David is Canadian, so that's going to be some major.
Yeah, he's going to be like 50. He's going to be like 50, man, or 60.
Yeah,
And for disclaimer, before anyone gets on my ass, these prices that I'm saying are adjusted because of tariffs. Before you get on my ass, okay?
Dude, I forgot the conversation went totally all over the place. I totally forgot to do this, but God, we're almost out of time. But let's do this real quick. Because I was gonna share this. We're gonna talk about this, but we're like not a lot of headlines this morning, but we went all over the place. Okay, so I'm gonna ask this to the audience. I don't know if anybody saw this article come out on BBC, but it's all analogy of like managers and their behaviors on the touchline and stuff like that. Which manager was outside of their technical area the most?
So a bit of trivia time here.
It is a bit of a trivia.
Right.
So,
okay.
like the most time spent outside of the technical area. But I would assume this also means people sitting, because you're not necessarily in your technical area. Right? So it's not like just guys who are walking off of the area. We're talking more, I assume, people are in the dugout, because that would be considered the dugout. So I have to bear that in mind when you're answering the question.
Okay, so wait a minute. If they're sitting down, like let's say if Slut sits down, does that count? No.
No, that's considered the dugout. He's not. That counts. He's not in the technical area.
Okay, so your question is who's been in the technical area?
I'm gonna share this because you're pulling in the trivia mode. You're pulling a freaking Bickler on me and asking like 85 qualifying questions. But yeah, this is. I'll put it in a graph format for you over here. This is basically what is considered the technical area, like right here.
Okay.
So go back to the question now. Who spends the most time outside their technical area?
And I already mentioned Arteta before the show started. You said it wasn't him.
Arteta is fourth.
Fourth, okay.
40%.
Let me throw.
This might be just. I mean,
is it
ranking? I mean, there's a manager who is way up there. Like he's rarely in there. And it has to be. I was like, when I thought that, I was like, because he's probably just sitting.
Unai Emery?
Ooh, close. He's
close?
63%.
Nah.
He's the second in this chart over here. But I don't know if this chart is just showing extremes or a ranking, because I highly thought everybody else is much less. I guess could be.
Right. Oh, so you're still making me guess?
Yeah, we're still there.
Okay. Enzo Maresca.
No, not even on this thing.
Not even on this.
No.
Okay, for my final answer.
Final answer. What was that? Who Wants to Be a Millionaire? Final answer.
Yeah. Amorim.
No. You would think he spends a lot of time.
Right.
I don't know if this chart is ranking them, but I guarantee you this person is number one is Nuno.
Noon.
82%, and that has to be because when I saw that, I'm like,
Yeah,
oh, okay, the time sitting down does
yeah,
not count because
yeah.
I do always see that dude sitting.
Exactly. Like, although they do a lot of defending though, so in terms of like him barking out orders in terms of structure, it makes sense, right? He's telling guys to go there, go there. Like, what are you doing there? Right, go back in. You know what I mean? Like, it
You
does
would
make.
think he'd be out there more, but that's what
Yeah.
we did it on the practice pitch, baby. He's 82%. He's outside of his technical area. So he's 18% only in that area. I think that's crazy
Yeah.
because he's not even like pacing back and forth or anything like that. I mean, I guess that's, I mean, it's a style more than anything else, right? You're like, kind of like, you guys got this. I'm just gonna sit here.
Yeah.
We're prepared for this.
Yeah.
I'm gonna sit here as opposed to being out there and kind of like directing traffic like you're coaching like a U19.
Yeah. I would say Rafa Benitez would probably be the most like I don't know. You know
Yeah,
that
'cause I
meme?
mean, even like, I mean, I would think. First of all, I would think Klopp's time. I mean, Slot stands there a lot.
Oh, especially lately,
Bear in
yeah.
mind, though, going back to that chart, I
Yeah.
mean, it does not count when, like, when they're up here, like 9% when they're at the touchline.
Right.
So when they're that close, that's why Arteta is probably spending 40% inside, and that's 60% like by the touchline.
Yeah.
I'm assuming. I don't recall Arteta ever sitting in stuff. Which, I mean, like I say, it's like a different style thing. I do want a manager who's like energetic on the sideline, but I don't want a manager who is trying to steal the show on the sideline either.
How's Mourinho been, by the way, for Fenerbahce? He's speaking of managers who like to steal
Oh
the.
my God! Like the problem with Mourinho's benches, we were actually talking about this with Edip. Is just like, I mean, the amount of cards that bench sees is just like every game there's a yellow and a red coming off the bench and stuff. And I think the biggest problem is, you know, I made this analogy and Edip was all over it too. Every team has guys over time, right? I know, like, especially in the Turkish league, and I think I'm trying to think in Liverpool now too, but like you have guys who are, I don't want to say necessarily troublemakers, but the ones that are more vocal, get the crowd into the game because of their complaining and stuff. Guys that they have rules against constantly coming up, basically, right? I think the problem Fenerbahce has now is in the past, those guys have been good enough to be on the pitch. Now those guys are not that good with those personalities. So those personalities are on the bench. So the bench is constantly in trouble. They're constantly getting cards, managers, translators, and all these people on the sideline. Because normally, a couple of the like a Roy Keane kind of a dude,
Mm.
or you know what I mean, like
Or
guys.
the entire Atletico Madrid team.
Yes, or that. You know what I mean? They're on the pitch. Like if they were on the sideline, it would be a whole different story. I think that's like, for example, that's what makes Mourinho's job a bit more difficult. I think he would like a lot more, you know, as we
Shithousery on the
always,
pitch.
yeah,
Shithousery on the
he
pitch.
wants the assholes on the pitch, and I
Yeah.
think that's what they will sign in the off season if he sticks around another season. Is a couple more
You think he's
assholes.
sticking around? Like, has it
It's
been has it been
looking like it.
has it been subpar? By the way, like, I'm just curious because I actually like Mourinho. Like,
If you don't
yeah,
win, it's
yeah,
subpar for Fenerbahce. It's one of
mm,
those. It's like Barcelona and Real Madrid. Like if you're
right,
not winning the league, I thought they were unlucky to get out of Europa. They lost on the penalty kicks. I mean,
mm,
not a lot of teams go to Glasgow and like beat Rangers. But then they lost some penalty kicks and stuff like that. I don't know. If he gets an off season, I have faith in Mourinho. I like what he's doing. And who are you gonna bring? It becomes like you don't want to be a United where you just like, who
yeah,
are you gonna bring? Who's gonna be better in terms of managing? Just get
yeah,
him the kind of players he wants is my thing. I think people change, managers are changed way too much as opposed to, we were talking about this on the panel show yesterday in terms of like managers and like, sometimes you just got to give the guy time. You can just throw him in the kitchen and expect him to come up with something good if he's not doing the shopping kind of a deal. So on that note, let's go have breakfast. But yes, we'll wrap it up. I didn't want this to go to waste because we talked about it before the show. But
right.
so tomorrow, the gang will be here. This is gonna be weird. No midweek games and stuff like that. We're not gonna know what the
Yeah,
hell to do with ourselves. But tomorrow night, tune in 7 o'clock Central, 8 o'clock Eastern for the Bolt crew to do their thing as we
yeah.
get ready for the West Ham match. And obviously, I'll be back Friday morning as we get ready for these 3 points, baby.
40 million is the new 20, people.
40
Tariffs.
million is the new 20s. You see, like this young generation, they don't know the value of money. That's the problem. That's the
That's
problem.
not my fault, man. I wish it was still valuable. Back in the day, my salary could get me net me the American dream. Not so much now.
Now with tariffs, baby.
Yeah.
Yeah, enjoy the tariffs, everyone. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Take care.